And the last 2 years of my life have been really about softening and honoring my feminine and coming from a place of devotion and um, really shedding the hard armor and exterior that I've operated with for so long. And it feels like this year is the final releasing of that way of being for me. We're back, baby, with a brand new season of the It's Fucking Spiritual podcast. Join us each week as we have unfiltered conversations about how to transform your life. Our mission is to usher in a new era of spirituality where you don't have to be all love and light to live a life of alignment. Here, we honor all of it, the profound and the profane, the magic and the messy, and all things that make you human. So let's discuss the truth behind transformation and be unapologetic in our evolution. From manifestation to money, embodiment to energy, and all taboo topics, nothing is going to be off limits. Are you ready to live a life that feels just as good as it looks? Let's get fucking spiritual. Hey, what's up, my loves? Welcome back to another episode of the It's Fucking Spiritual podcast in 2025. Welcome to a brand new year. Are you guys as excited as I am for this year? I don't even know. I feel like I am rebirthing and becoming reborn. And I've gone through such an identity death over the last 2 years, which I've honestly thought I might do another episode on after today because it's a whole thing. And I want to let you guys in on everything that's been going on in my life. And I often find that when we're going through something individually, we can also be going through it collectively on a collective level as well. So maybe you're feeling it. Maybe you're feeling what I'm feeling, which is just like the rebirth of a new year, the rebirth of a new you, and not even like the cliche new year, new you. I'm going to do New Year's resolutions and then I'm going to fall off. Like, really, I'm feeling it differently this year, that we're all just like coming into our own in a new way and setting boundaries in a new way and becoming more grounded, more self-assured, more connected with our yes, connected with our no, connected with our intuition, connected with getting more woo. Before I dive into today's topic, I was going to say, you guys have been giving me a lot of feedback on loving the more woo-woo angle that we're taking on this show now. A lot of you guys loved the How to Start Channeling episodes. So if you want me to do more woo episodes and you're like, yes, I'm here for it. You're loving the Kundalini talk. You're loving the woo woo spirit guides, like all the things. Let me know in the comments. I'm pretty sure on Spotify, if you're listening to this on Spotify, maybe on Apple too, but I see the Spotify ones for sure. Comment and let me know what topics you want to see. What are the woo things you want me to talk about? Because you guys are loving it and I'm loving it in this season. So with that, we're going to talk about a little bit of a woo concept today as well, which is numerology. Now, you guys, I am not a numerologist. I am not a numerology expert, but as you know, I dive into topics on, well, for myself, first and foremost, and then I come and bring them to you. And I am a believer that, we don't, if we understand something from a high level, it can give us a lot of perspective. I'm somebody that it's just my personality. I also think it's me being a manifesting generator in human design, but I love to dive into a bunch of different topics, but I don't go like crazy deep into one because I find that it's helpful for me to just understand the surface level bit of it and then apply it to my life. So that's how I operate. And that's what I've been doing with numerology over the last like couple of months, but really over the last month. And I wanted to share with you what I have learned about the numerology for this year. So, what is the numerology forecast for 2025 and what does that mean for you? If you're watching me on video and I'm looking down, it's because I have notes. I prepared for this episode, so we're not going to just ramble as I do sometimes. The first thing I want to say is that I am of the mind in spirituality, at least for me, that I don't allow anything outside of me to govern my truth. And I don't think any of us should, personally. because the way that I look at all of these woo concepts, numerology being one of them, is they are a tool. They are meant to be guidelines to help inform you of how you can operate at a greater capacity in your life. So, everything from tarot cards to astrology to human design that I just mentioned to numerology to any of the like different things that we use, right? I don't take it as like this is the end all be all, this is truth. It's just something for you to use as a framework, as a tool, and to see what it flushes up within you. So, I am the believer that you have every single thing that you need within you. You don't need a psychic to tell you. You don't need your tarot cards to tell you. You don't need a pendulum to tell you, or you don't need numerology to tell you how your year is going to go, right? Because whenever you do that, you end up giving your power away to something outside of you when you are the powerful one, right? You are literally the universe in human form becoming conscious of itself. And what is more powerful than that? However, we can use these tools as guidelines to take your intuition deeper. And so that's the way I want to frame this today. And that's why I don't like dive crazy deep into one thing. And that might be your thing. You might be like, I have my one thing and I dive so into this. This is my holy grail. That's just not how I operate. Um, so with that, I wanted to give that as a caveat because I think that it's really important that we don't give something outside of us. We don't allow that to become the master of our fate. But instead, we allow it to help us co create with the universe in a way that is like helpful, right? So, okay, if you're new here, if you're new to numerology, let's just like talk about what is numerology. So, numerology essentially is the study of how the energy and influence of specific numbers can be used to uncover patterns or potentially give you guidance. So, you could go really deep into numerology. Every single person has their own life path number that is calculated by your birth date. You have your own personal year number that is calculated by also your birthday and the year. So if you want to dive deeper into like your specific numerology, you can literally go to ChatGPT. Okay, you can use AI for this. Go to ChatGPT and type in your birthday, month, day, and year, and ask what is my life path number. I am a life path master number 33. In case you guys were wondering. And then you can also calculate your personal year, which I happen to be in a personal year 9. So, what does that mean? Actually, let me back up. We are also in collective years. So, we are in a collective year 9 as well. I'm like, how am I explaining this? So we're in a collective year 9 because 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, right? So we just entered 2025. Those add up to 9. So we are in a 9. And then also with my birthday, it also means that I'm in a year 9. So you might have a personal year that's different that you can calculate on ChatGPT if you ask it, or you can calculate it yourself, or you can go off of what we're talking about today, which is the collective year, which means we are in a year 9. So in numerology, we operate on a 9-year cycle. And every single year has essentially like a theme, and they all build on themselves. So we are entering the last year of a 9-year cycle. So in the current cycle that we've been in, which has a theme. So the theme of this year collectively is that of completion, transformation, and closure. Because we're closing out a cycle, right? And this year is all about releasing what's no longer serving us. And the way that I'm sensing this for myself and with everything that I'm saying, like take what resonates with you and apply it to your own life. But basically, think back to who you were 8 years ago when we began this cycle, I believe in 2017. So think back to 2017. Yeah, right? I don't know. You do the math. But when we started the original cycle, think back to who you were 8 years ago. You were a hell of a lot different, I would imagine. Which for me, when we entered into this cycle, it was right when, if you know my story, which I tell a lot on this podcast, it was right when I first got in my freak accident. That was the year that I got in my accident that allowed me to stop partying and working in corporate. It was the accident that eventually woke me up to my first spiritual awakening and sent me on a path which has led me literally here sitting with you. And I imagine you have quite the path from the last 8 years. And so looking at who was I 8 years ago? If this is the very last year in this 9-year cycle, what is it that I want to leave behind? What are the habits, patterns, ways of being that I want to leave behind for good? And I'll let you guys in on one for me. I've had such massive revelations over the last year, 2 years. And really even like this winter, it's all come full circle for me. And I've realized that the the deepest pattern for me and for my little girl and my inner child is self-doubt. And you could hear that and be like, wait, what? Like you sit here and you talk on this podcast every week and you from the outside looking in might not know that that's something that I've dealt with so much in my life. And I don't know what that pattern is for you, but that's held me back so much in my life. And I realized that through a lot of the trauma that I've personally gone through, I hardened a lot. I hardened my heart. I hardened my ways of being. I was in my masculine. I was hustling a lot. And the last 2 years of my life have been really about softening and honoring my feminine and coming from a place of devotion and really shedding the hard armor and exterior that I've operated with for so long. And it feels like this year is it's the final releasing of that way of being for me. Briefly interrupting this episode for a very special announcement. If you are someone that has been loving this podcast, that you love this work, you really are ready to deepen in your own feminine embodiment journey. You are ready to expand your capacity to receive abundance and what you desire in your life. And you want to do it all in sisterhood. And you want to travel out of the country. Drum roll, please. I invite you to join us in Costa Rica in May of 2025. We have officially opened the doors for our Costa Rican Expanded Woman Retreat, where we are going to spend 5 days and 5 nights together in the jungle of Costa Rica and just go really deep together in sisterhood. So if you have desired to attend one of the It's Fucking Spiritual retreats and you want to join us in Costa Rica, it is going to be such an incredible time. There's going to be organic food. There's going to be deep workshops and so much bonding and sisterhood and beach bonfires and excursions and all of the things. And honestly, you guys, every single time that I have taken the leap and gone to something in person, my first ever retreat as an attendee was in Costa Rica. And that is where this podcast idea was actually born. And so every single time that I have chosen to take the leap and I've gone somewhere in person alone and nervous and ready for my expansion, there is so much transformation on the other side. It is honestly how I have built my life, has been from taking multiple days to go really deep, to receive reflections in sisterhood, and to really claim what I want out of life. And I invite you to do that with us if it's something that's calling you. This is by application only. So definitely go and fill out the application in the show notes. There's going to be so much information about the retreat, the dates, pricing, all of that in that application, and go and take a look. And if it's calling you, definitely apply. Even if you're on the offense, definitely apply, and we will review your application. And if you have any questions, you can email us at support@rachelgibler.com. And we hope that we will get the chance to meet you in Costa Rica in May. And I don't know what that is for you. I don't know exactly what that looks like in your patterns in your life. But that's the thing that I'm going to be really focused on shedding. And when we shed, we also put something in its place. So for me, my focus and my devotion to the things that actually matter, and letting go of a lot of the um, unfocused self-sabotaging patterns that still come up in my life. Oh my gosh, I still deal with sometimes numbing out on scrolling, or sometimes procrastinating the thing that I need to do, or playing it safe with just doing the thing that I've always done over the past few years. Because the thing is, you guys, I think I thought 8 years ago when I first had my awakening that um, that was going to be my only awakening, and boom, life is going to be easy now. And that definitely hasn't been the case. It's been a death and rebirth cycle constantly. Such as life, right? Such as why we go through these 9-year cycles. And when we complete 2025, we're going to be entering into a year one again, and the whole cycle is going to start over. And so in year one, in 2026, that's a year of new beginnings, new blossomings, new ways of being. And so that's why it's so potent and imperative that we look at the things that we really want to leave behind, and let this year be a year that we fully allow ourselves to step into the new way of being, and the new way that um, or the new reinvention that we have for ourselves. Which, side note, if you have not listened to my last episode that I did at the end of 2024, How to Reinvent Yourself in 2025, I have a free ebook for you guys with 7 steps to reinvent yourself, which actually would go really, really well with you defining the habits, patterns, things that you want to leave in this 9-year cycle. So go to the show notes. It's still available. You can download it for free. So shameless plug on that. Go get it. You guys are giving me really, really good feedback on the steps. It's a lot of it's a lot of information, but if you work the steps, it's going to be so helpful for you. So with that being said, something I do want to touch on about year 9 is, I think when people hear that we're going into completion, transformation, and like a letting go year, and year 9 being all about shedding, people kind of tend to freak out, right? They're like, oh, I don't want to like let go, or I'm scared that my whole life is going to blow up. And I just want to say, like, you get to surrender to what is meant for you. And instead of focusing on not wanting to let go of specific people, or um, worrying about your life changing when you hear it's a year about releasing and letting go, instead look at it from a place of empowerment, of I have the ability to release all of the things within me that are no longer serving me. And that can be really confronting to our inner child, because then it's like the scary thing of, okay, well, if I change, what in my life is going to change? And my invitation for you is to allow yourself to soften and surrender into it, and trust. This is where so much trust comes in. You have to trust that what is meant for you will stay. And the more and more you get grounded and rooted in yourself and your own inner knowing, and you learn how to regulate your nervous system, and you learn how to hold yourself and hold your inner child, the less changes outside of you will impact you. You might still feel them, of course, right? You might have preferences of what you want to happen, but the more that you trust and co-create with the universe, and co-create with your higher self, and tap into that version of you, the less you're going to be worried about who may fall away in your life. So rather than having the focus external and on circumstances and outside of yourself, turn that focus every single time that you find that maybe if you're worried about something changing in your life, or somebody leaving your life, turn that focus back on yourself, and look at what are the ways of being that I can show up as that will build my self-esteem. What are the things in my life that are going to grow my confidence? What is it that I want to leave in 2025 before we go into this next cycle? And you'll be set up really, really well as we enter into year one in 2026. So before I ramble on, I did want to give you guys 3 specific journal prompts. So maybe you want to grab your notes app on your phone or a pen and paper and actually write these down. And I think it'll be really helpful for you. So reflection journal prompts for entering into a year 9 in numerology. Number 1, what are the habits, patterns, and ways of being that are still holding me back from the woman I want to be? What would it look like to release these? So get really clear here on the habits or the self-sabotaging patterns and mechanisms that you have in all different areas of your life. Maybe that's work, finances, relationship patterns, health, just the ways that you operate, the ways that you manage your time, the ways that you manage your intention and your focus. What are the things that you really want to leave behind? What would make you so proud if you mastered this year going into next year? Like, what would you be so, so proud to be like, I freaking mastered that? Number 2, what habits and ways of being will I replace this with? So what will go in its place? Who do I want to be now in this next cycle? Right? So every single time that we let go of a habit, pattern, or way of being, or a belief, right? Every time that we let that go, there's spaciousness and something will fill its place if we don't intentionally fill it. So you want to intentionally look at, instead of this, I'm going to do this. So for me, like, this is a habit that I have not mastered, y'all, and that is my sleep. I have not yet mastered my sleep, and I'm working on it. And actually, I'm filming this on January 3rd as of now. So I have done well the last 2 days, I will say. However, look at, like, what are the habits, ways of being that if I changed this thing, this would completely change my life. And for me, I knew that was sleep. I knew it would change my level, my energy levels, my capacity at which I could operate. So what is that for you? What are you going to replace it with? And journal prompt number 3, how have I grown and transformed over the last 9 years? That's a big one. What am I grateful to myself for? What lessons have I learned, and how will I carry these lessons with me? So I guarantee you, you have learned many, many lessons over the last 8 years. And whenever we're completing a cycle, it's so important that we actually look back and look at how far we've come rather than, just redefining like what it is we need to do now. It's just as important that we actually celebrate ourselves for the ways in which we've already shifted, because that tells your subconscious mind that it's possible for you to continue, and it builds your confidence. And at the same time, it lets your inner child feel celebrated and feel seen and feel acknowledged for all of the things that you have done. And then in addition, writing out the lessons that you've learned over this last cycle is going to not only help you solidify them as you move forward, but also help you to just be really proud of all of the things that you've gone through. And carrying that energy into this year, I think, is going to be so helpful for you. As we go into a year 1 and we start this cycle over. So the way that I look at it is, what once was our ceiling now becomes the floor. So you grow and you grow and you grow and you grow, and your new way of being was a ceiling. And then we enter year 1 again, and that ceiling becomes the floor in which you continue to build and continue to grow and continue to expand and continue to have your wildest dreams come true. And that's what this podcast is all about. That's what I want for you. And this is how we can use tools, again, to connect to our own intuition and connect to our own personal reflection, because nobody can give you the answers that you're seeking. Not a person, not numerology, not a astrological system, like nothing, no system or person outside of yourself knows what is right for you. You have all the answers that you have within. However, it can be really fun to use um, collective patterns such as numerology as a guide to help you have um, just a deeper connection to your own internal source of knowledge. And that's the way that I look at it. So, if you do this exercise, DM me on Instagram at Rachel Gibler. I'd love to hear about it. Share this with a friend. Definitely download the ebook in the show notes that has an even more expanded version of the journal prompts that I just gave you. And yeah, really try the journal prompts, because the last thing I'll say is it's not just enough to listen to this episode. You have to really actually do the work and actually apply this to your life. And when you do, you will see so much shift for you really rapidly. And I want that for you this year. And the very last thing I'll leave you with is, what if the end of this year, you look back and you said to yourself, I cannot believe how much I've shifted. Like, I finally entered a space of self mastery this year. This was the year that I grew more than any other year of my entire life. And if you choose to claim it, it will be. And that's the season I'm entering into. And that's what I'm choosing to claim. And I'm just really encouraging you to do it with me. So, with that, I love you guys. Welcome to 2025. Let's crush this year. And I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the It's Fucking Spiritual podcast. I am so glad that you're here. And if this episode resonated with you, I invite you to share this with a friend that you feel needs to hear it. And if you are really feeling the love and support for this show, this podcast thrives off of your listens and your reviews. So I would love if you could leave us an honest review. We would love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, your questions. And it helps us get this podcast in the hands of more people and would mean so much to me to receive your support. So thank you.